San Jose just score?
No.
Good.
Seems like the theme of the night. Did they just score? Oh no, the other team did. Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go live. Hello and welcome to the Morningscape podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell to cover the Tuesday, March 27th daily fantasy NHL slate. DJ, how was your Monday? How you doing?
It was really good. I listened back to the pod and I wasn't there, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I was really quiet. I'm never going to do that again. Trying to do it on my phone with my phone headphones. I don't know what the deal was. For some reason, I got very, very quiet comparatively to Matt, which is not normally what people would say about us in real life. So
quite true. Yeah.
Quite true. So yeah, we're just chilling. It's about 10 p.m. So Eastern time, and we have Tampa Bay losing to Arizona. The Sabres have already beaten the Maple Leafs, and San Jose is being terrible. So not maybe the best slate for many people, unless you played Reimer. Matt, how are you looking tonight, though?
Pretty terrible. Let me just say that.
Zykov, though, out there getting that goal.
Just crazy.
I've never heard of this Warren
Foegele. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, just like Foegele, sure. But yeah, I don't know. So, but speaking of which, players we've never really heard of. A lot of players coming in. So, Matt, do you just want to name a few to keep an eye on, and anyone on this slate?
I think the main one that I think is almost certainly going to play here is Jordan Greenway, because one, he's on the slate, and two, I feel like Minnesota's that sort of team that actually has a spot open for him to, play something more than the fourth line. He could just come in on the fourth line having not practiced or anything, but we'll see about that on Tuesday. I'm not seeing anything about Tolvanen for the Predators. It doesn't seem like he's even signed with them yet. He's had his contract voided from the SHL, but it doesn't seem like he is, or from the KHL actually, but it doesn't seem like he's officially signed. So I don't think he's an option for Tuesday, but definitely a name to keep an eye on because he is very, very good.
Yeah, he is not on the slate, even if a miracle happens and we find out in the morning that somehow he's cleared to play. So no matter what, he's one just to keep an eye on. Eeli Tolvanen, definitely keep an eye on him. Great shot. Obviously, it's going to take a little while to really get a player profile, but he feels like someone from his numbers in World Juniors and all gear, a guy that loves to shoot, very trigger happy. So keep an eye on him. Greenway, we have Casey Middlestad with Buffalo, who's not on the slate, but a guy to keep an eye on. Is there anyone else? What's the guy for Chicago's name that played today that we didn't mention last podcast because it was this morning?
Edsel. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is centering Kane and Saad at least tonight, so that could be a name to keep an eye on going forward.
Victor, how do you say it again? Edsel?
That's what I said. I have no idea.
Sure. No idea. We'll look into that one. And I'm sure there'll be more along the way. It's really hard to tell because a team might sign a guy, but they might report to the AHL. Like Will Borgen for the Sabres went right to Rochester. And then other guys, kind of maybe the higher end prospects, will have to report to their NHL team because they're leaving school early, if that makes sense. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll definitely mention anything in the group me. We were all talking about that Chicago guy in the group me. So if you're wondering, can I still get this information not on the pod, get in the group me. We'll definitely always be talking about that stuff. Okay, so you just want to get right into the slate?
Yeah, let's do it. So we've got 9 games here, starting off with Carolina on a back-to-back at New Jersey. The Islanders and Senators face off, both teams having played on Monday night. Pittsburgh at Detroit on a back-to-back. San Jose on a road back-to-back at St. Louis. Minnesota at Nashville. Boston at Winnipeg. Philly at Dallas, Columbus at Edmonton, and then Anaheim at Vancouver. So 9 games here. Again, a nice little back-to-back 9-game slates. Definitely something that we appreciate, I think, from a consistency standpoint, rather than going 13 games and then 2 the next day. So props to the NHL for that. Let's get that money, DJ. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm always down for that kind of a narrative there.
Right, I need a comeback after this Monday night. It's not shaping up well.
Dead yet because I have one lineup with almost every single player yet to play.
Yeah, that's true.
I did end up putting McKinnon in, by the way, in case you're wondering if because
Nice.
like yeah, it doesn't matter. If this lineup smashes, I'll post it. If it doesn't, basically I have a Colorado Vegas stack, which I mentioned on the last podcast I might do. Although I have Louis Domingue in that. Great. I did not want to play him, honestly. Like I was like, all right, you know what? And I had 8-2, and I was like, you know what? Honestly, he's gonna get the win. And I just thought I'll pick a goalie for the win. And all right, whatever. That lineup sucked. Who cares? Let's get into Carolina, New Jersey. New day, new me. Carolina on a back to back. I think 3 in their last 4. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it signed me off of Hockey Viz. Let me get back in,
yeah.
and
They've
I can
done 3
pull
in the
up.
last 4.
Yeah, so I think the main news is Zykov continued to play that role with Teravainen and Aho. He's been priced now to see here. He's been priced now to 4,600. I don't really see it. I mean, he's only playing 14 minutes a night, and yeah, I mean, he's been good, but is it gonna continue? 4.6 now. I don't know. Like, I personally would rather chase a guy like I don't know, like Ryan Donato or something, who at least has like that track record of really, really strong shot numbers. But we can talk about that for sure. Um, are you, how interested are you in Zykov
Mm.
versus some of the other mid-tier values at wing here?
I'm not that interested, to be honest. I mean, I'm pretty sure your goal metrics kind of like Carolina tomorrow as a team to put a few up, but I'm not really seeing it. I kind of feel like they're gonna. I don't know. I think New Jersey might end up having their way with them. New Jersey's
Yeah,
really still fighting for a playoff spot. I don't
yeah, I
think.
mean,
Are they in
yeah.
right now? Are they in that last spot? I can pull it back. I had it up a second ago.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but regardless, yeah, I mean Carolina's almost dead. I
Yeah.
just I don't see them dominating New Jersey in any way.
So,
Um, yeah, so did we ever figure out who this Fogel guy is for Carolina?
never heard of him in my. Is he even? I didn't even see him on the slate.
Yeah, he's 2.7 here, so I
2.7.
don't
Yeah.
know. He had a. I'm
Uh,
just trying to see what the deal with him is.
well, he did his first game too.
Yeah. All right, no power play time. Only 11 minutes. So
Probably
I don't know.
nothing to read too far into. I mean, 2.7 though. I mean, maybe. I mean, I think it's a guy we should look into and maybe just like discuss tomorrow at some point if we see the Lions and
Yeah, I think pregame, that pregame skate could be interesting because he did have a great game, and I could see a guy like Phil DiGiuseppe, like getting moved off of the Skinner Lindholm line, and maybe I like seeing when these new players come up. I don't even know if Fogel is a young player or an old guy, but
well, he
um,
played his this is his rookie season. He played the entire year in Charlotte, 42 points in 65 games, and this is his first call up. So he's 21 years old.
okay. Yeah, so what I
Yeah.
like about that is that he actually killed penalties for them tonight. Usually, when a coach puts a young guy like that on the penalty kill, I just feel really good about that because it means that if they get promoted to a role, sometimes you see it with guys. I mean, hell, Patrick Laine, even like elite goal scorers, they just don't get those minutes because, in defensive situations they get pulled off the ice. At least earlier in Laine's career, but like guys like that who are playing penalty kill, if they get promoted into like at least a top 3 lines role on this team, I mean, honestly, the fourth line is just garbage. But any of the top 3 lines for Carolina, that would be an interesting look, I think, just because he's so cheap and could be the next Zykov, to be honest. I mean, not nearly as, I guess, esteemed in like the goal scoring department, but certainly a fine play for the price. Just keeping an eye on it after his hot game on Monday. But
Yeah.
that's a lot of time. It's a lot of time to spend talking about.
The dusters of
Yeah, Carolina.
so basically, I think from this game, it's probably I would say there's a decent amount of part of me that wants to say go Hall, and maybe Heishier. We haven't seen them play in a while. Hall was on a power play without Heishier, so that doesn't help. He was on a power play without Brett or Heishier. So do you think Hall could be like a solo guy? I don't foresee myself playing that in Mueller, but
Yeah, I don't think that power play is gonna hold. To be
yeah, we'll have
honest,
to see.
it seems to me like it was just like a small sample, like one power play thing. The game before it was fat. It was Palmieri in that spot for Mirko
Hmm.
Mueller. I don't know what the deal was there.
Yeah,
Palmieri
no idea.
seems fine. Like I'm just looking at his like player page. He doesn't seem like he got hurt or anything. So uh, I think you mentioned Taylor Hall. I do like Palmieri as well. Just that power play stack I think makes decent sense. Um, a name that I don't really think has much merit here, given I think it's a relatively tough matchup going into Carolina. But if you look into stack, I mean, Pavel Zacha centering Kyle Palmieri. Um, I mean, if you've listened for a while, I think you know that we just really like Pavel Zacha as a player. Um, he came back off of injury and has 2 games with an assist. I mean, he's put up 3 fantasy points in each of them, 3,200. Gets you a cheap stack with Palmieri and GPPs if you're interested. I kind of like that as like a sneaky stack, Palmieri and Hall, and then just tack on a cheaper guy like that and just kind of hope for the explosion out of a guy like Palmieri and get the 2 ways that'll happen. But Taylor Hall's actually kind of fallen off lately in terms of his shot rate. He was up there right along like the McKinnons in terms of like really, really hot, streaky shooter. That's kind of stopped recently, so I'm not sure if I'm willing to spend all the way up on the slate for Taylor Hall. I think we'll discuss some other wings
He
that
is
are a bit
the most
cheaper.
expensive wing on the slate.
Right. Yeah. That's so I'm not that comfortable with it because the shots haven't necessarily been like just super high for him. But I think in GPPs it's a great stacking option.
Okay. Do you want to move on, or is there anything? I think we should probably move on. Obviously,
Yeah.
Aho, Teravainen, if you're feeling it. Other than that, yeah, probably
I'm
not.
I'm good. I'm good to move to the Islanders at Ottawa.
Two
Um,
teams on a back to back.
right. I'm on the assumption that Eric Carlson will play. Again, he didn't travel with the team on Monday to Carolina to stay home with, I guess, his family. But um, Tuesday, they're at home. So I would assume he just kind of shows up at the rink and does his thing and plays as he did on Saturday. But, there's obviously a chance that he could just sit out this one. But it seems strange to me that he would, play Saturday and not play Tuesday at home. So I like that just as like a right off the bat because guys like Hoffman and Duchesne, like they're kind of. I mean, I think anyone would be a worse play without Eric Carlson, but I mean they're so incredibly dependent on him to create on the power play that I think that could be sneaky as like a sneaky little upside there with Carlson and Hoffman or something like that. Any interest in this Islander side after they just got shut out by James Reimer and the Panthers?
Um, I'm not really that interested. I think I could be talked into it, but it's really not. You're not getting any savings anymore on the Tavares wingers. Um, I don't see in front of me what they did today. I don't know if Olivier got like a bump for any reason, but I don't know. I'm probably staying away from this game. I feel like, but you could talk me into maybe a couple Ottawa guys for cheap, especially if they come out with a lineup and they're going back to 11-7 like they did the last time Carlson was in. Um, if Carlson's in 11-7, like you could maybe talk me into a little bit of Ottawa here, but I'm probably fading this game in general.
Yeah, so the Islanders played their standard top six. Interestingly, Nick Leddy only played 15 minutes. That seems. I didn't get a chance to watch the game, so uh, I'll look into that like during the show. But it also appears that Ryan Pollock, while Leddy was not playing, played with that first power play. That would obviously make sense. I want to see about Leddy, and I'll check on that while we talk. But that could be like the one spot if obviously if Leddy's out, that opens up a huge power play role for Pollock. That's amazing. We know that his price has gone way up. The minutes are still in the low 20s, if not high teens. So it's not like you're getting, a Giordano esque like 27 minutes from this price tag. But, you know, defenseman, like Pulak, who shoots a ton, I think has merit at any price, but especially in cash games if Leddy is out. So I'll investigate that. You said you didn't really have interest in the Lee, Bailey, Tavares line. I kind of agree there. Their prices have gone up slightly enough to the point where I think it's just not that smart. Let's move to Pittsburgh at Detroit. Do you want to give your initial thoughts while I take a look at the Nick Leddy
Um,
situation?
yeah, I think everyone's initial thoughts on this game will be stack Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been pretty hot. They're definitely priced up. Even Gensel got up to 6K. So you're not really getting a savings anywhere, but I do always kind of feel comfortable playing these Pittsburgh guys. They have such a big role, and that power play one is just so incredibly good, like arguably the best in the NHL. Last game against Philadelphia, we did see Gensel, Crosby, Rust, and Crosby Rust really went off. Hornqvist gets his power play goal. He always gets, it feels like. So I have no problem stacking Pittsburgh, but I'm not going to like make it a priority. I think Detroit will slow the pace as much as physically possible, and that's kind of been their MO. Their defense is a train wreck at best. I would say it actually could be worse than Buffalo's, and that's saying something. So they're going to try to slow the pace. I think they have the forwards to kind of slow down Pittsburgh. I think it'll be a 3-1 kind of Pittsburgh win. So I don't know how much interest I have. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm not seeing. I'm just seeing that he might have just gotten benched. Like he was a -2 again. He's a -42 on the season, which is funny. Just plus minus is whatever, but that's pretty hilarious. Nick Leddy's a -42 for a team that
Mm.
they're not like a bottom feeder by any means. They're certainly not good, but um, definitely interesting. So the most recent blurb for Nick Leddy says he was a -33 on March 9th. So definitely trending downward. That could be a good sign for Pollock. But getting back to the Pittsburgh side, I mean, yeah, Pittsburgh's almost certainly going to be the chalk here. Um, last game, they started off with Hornqvist, Crosby, and Gensel. They flipped it pretty much back to what's normal, I think, midway through the game, and that sparked a comeback. So I would expect it to look like Gensel, Crosby, Rust, and Hagelin, Malkin, Hornqvist, as probably expected, with the Sherry, Brassard, Kessel third line. Um, in this eternal game of defensemen flip flopping, Justin Schultz played 22 minutes and power play one time. So that's probably a knock against Letang at his price and a slight boost to Schultz, but he's crept up as well to this 4,500. So um, not a whole lot of interest in grabbing Justin Schultz, but I think Hornqvist is almost a lock. He's just been shooting the puck so much lately, and obviously playing anywhere in the top six with either Malkin or Crosby is a fantastic spot to be. And I just think Hornqvist is one of the most reliable plays here on the slate. So if I had to spend up, I'm almost certainly going to Hornqvist. Evander Kane on a back-to-back is also well worth a look. But I'll have to judge the merits of that, given that it's in St. Louis as well, a team that I respect defensively. Um, but what are your thoughts on like Hornqvist, Kessel, Crosby, Malkin? If you had to pick like a stack between two of them, who are you going with?
Um, wow. I would just go Crosby Hornfist and hope because it does look like there's some correlation in the game. I don't know why. It
Yeah,
could have just been
you don't listen to me, do you?
no. I totally lost
Okay.
you for like a
Um,
total of like
Gensel,
25 seconds. So
Gensel,
what'd you say?
Crosby, Hornqvist started the game, but
Ah,
they switched up midway through because they were getting trounced by Philly, and that sparked a
ah.
comeback. So I would expect the Hagelin, Malkin, Hornqvist line to be what's
I'm guessing I
usual.
missed that entire section. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna go with I don't know. Probably honestly just Hornfist. I don't think I'm gonna try to double down on this game. Like I think Hornfist alone is fine.
All right, yeah. I mean, I like Malkin too. That price tag is really tough to stomach though, with McDavid doing McDavid things. Just literally bonkers. Like I say that a lot, but McDavid truly is transcendent. Um,
Is he now?
let's go to San Jose at St. Louis. I just alluded to it. Playing on a back-to-back, Evander Kane just continues to put up smash nights over and over again. The guy just lives to shoot the puck. Like honestly, if you watch him play, just because you're just like, man, I really want to swap my lineups. If you play Evander Kane, you will not be ever disappointed. Every chance that guy gets, he fires the puck on net. If he's skating, with three guys back, he's on the half wall skating to the corner. He'll just fire the puck on net. Like he gets you those floor points. Um, and it doesn't necessarily lead to a great shooting percentage. But when he's being used the way he is, I just can't fathom not making him one of my top targets on any slate, just because power play one, line one, insane shot numbers, uh, really solid price tag. So, are you kind of with me here on this San Jose? We don't know how the game's going to end up here in Chicago, but are you with me here in the, riding the Kane train?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he just had a goal, right? Like while we started the podcast. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah. Well, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like again, so you're getting him again after he smashes, of course, because
he has like 7 shots. It's insane.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's smashing again. So yeah, I think the question is Hornfist or Kane at like the top tier wing. Um, Probably a better option than Kessel, Hall, Raquel. I mean, yeah, and Marchand. So like, who do you think are like the top wing of the night? If you could just like pick one right now.
Boy, I think that's tough because I want to look at St. Louis's numbers recently for sure. I still do really respect them defensively, so I think I am leaning with Hornfist. But I think they're not quite at the Ovechkin Kucherov level. You're saving 2,000, so I think jamming in both of them isn't going to be that difficult relative to like the normal stud jam of Ov Kucherov. So I'm definitely going to be playing around with that build, but
yes,
maybe some other
like
guys maybe some others will jump into play as well. But I think those are the main two that I came into the slate focused on.
Yeah, definitely a good point. One note, I guess, that we didn't say at the last podcast because it came out today was that Timo Meier, Evander Kane, and Joe Pavelski were all a first line. We're gonna have to see how that shakes out.
Flipped.
They already flipped. I like knew it midway through when I was saying it. I feel like I already saw someone in the group me mention that. Potentially that happened. So yeah. So keep an eye out for what their lines actually are. So I'm guessing who went up there?
Carlson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was okay. Yeah, that all makes sense now. So, all right. Yeah, I don't know. Basically, LeBanc, Le boy. Was he still first power play?
Yep, he's still there.
Still a very good value.
Still getting priced down for God knows what reason.
And then I think if you're really feeling risky, if you're really feeling like you want to live on the edge, like I'm never totally against stacking St. Louis 1. I don't care what anyone tells me. Like it's a very, very good stack. You're not really getting a savings on it at all, but it's not absolutely break the bank. I don't think anyone's going to have it. It'll be extremely low owned. And you are playing a San Jose team on a back-to-back. So, I mean, do you have any consideration for that? Or you think St. Louis is just dead and not – well, they're not – I think they've proven they're not dead.
They're playing really well, but they're not doing it offensively. Like, that's their problem. They don't – I mean, Tarasenko's not been Tarasenkoing. That could change, but I'm not willing to pay these prices to kind of bank on it, I guess.
Bank?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not putting it in LeBanc, I guess, that Tarasenko has a smash night here. So I'm comfortable just fading them. Like they just continually project terribly.
Yes.
Even on like labs and stuff, like their expected goals numbers are really, really low. So I don't feel that poorly or badly at all about putting the hard fade on the St. Louis side. I just want to check on the power play. It should be Pietrangelo again with that top unit, but let's see.
Well, I can pull it up. From last game, it was Pietrangelo.
Yeah, so that's
I don't know.
There goes.
I mean, it really does feel like it. If you want to go with that stack, it's going to be extremely low owned. I think that more people are going to lean towards Pittsburgh for sure. So, I mean, I'm not going to try to sway anyone. I just think that that's there. That it should be like I would just consider it at some point and like look into it. But I do think all the models that anyone that like anything I have is going to lead me away from it. But I don't hate it if you want to be super contrarian. But want to move on to Minnesota, Nashville?
Yeah, sure. So at home, Nashville coming off of a great game against the Jets. I think the Jets pulled it out in a shootout, but we saw kind of what we see from Nashville. Like all of their defensemen just had fantastic fantasy performances. Ryan Ellis, I think, had 2 points. Yossi scored a goal. Subban picked up, I think, maybe had a decent fantasy night. I think he picked up like 4 fantasy points. But like that's what they do. They generate all of their offense from the back end. And if you've been in the group me for the last at least a couple 3 weeks, but really all year. We've talked about the kind of necessity of Minnesota is that they force shots to the point. They do a pretty good job of limiting dangerous opportunities. So Nashville seems like the perfect team to take advantage of that with. I'm looking at Roman Yossi here at 6,200. Scored his first goal in like a month and a half against Winnipeg, but he's been shooting the puck. He has really good floor numbers. Um, I think this is a pretty good, not necessarily buy low, but I think Yossi's, right up there with Burns on a back to back as like top defenseman here. Um, you could make an argument for Gostisbehere, but he's on the road where I have a bit more trouble playing him. So I really like Roman Yossi here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Subban's price has fallen to the point where he's almost not a must play, but he's a really, really strong play for only 5,200 with the minutes he plays.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't maybe advise against stacking as Minnesota ever, but I mean, you definitely see Nashville's prices. Like Forsberg under 6K right now. I know Arvidsson's kind of been the shot generator on the line, and he's 4-5, but like Forsberg under 6K it's rare. You're definitely buying low on him, and it's not like Minnesota's the toe incredibly good that they could never give up a goal or anything. I mean, they've definitely proven this year they're not exactly like last year they were like almost President's Trophy at one point, I remember.
Yeah.
So they're not the same team. I'm down with it. I think something happened. I mean, he didn't get any minutes, so
yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
I don't know if he got benched or.
I noticed he wasn't on the power play, so that made me think he was hurt. But
I mean, he doesn't say anything. He might have just got benched.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like
I do think though that like Yossi and Forsberg are good, although you might consider Subban because power play. But I think you could honestly play all three. I think you could definitely double down on the defense of Nashville any night. So
yeah, if I were stacking two of them, I would definitely go with Yossi and Ellis.
Well, because they play together all the time.
Yeah, they play together 5-on-5, power play, penalty kill, you name it. Like I understand if you just want to kind of spread it out and play Yossi Subban, but I'm not that in love with the matchup to think like, man, I want 100% exposure to this game.
Yeah, I agree.
But, I don't really see myself playing any forwards here. I know you mentioned Forsberg, and that really does intrigue me, but I think there's a lot of options up here that I'm just not really going to take a flyer on a guy like Forsberg for a team that I don't necessarily love. On the Minnesota side, we have that interesting news. Depending on where Jordan Greenway slots in, he could be like a smash play, or he could just be kind of sitting on the side and just wait for him to grow into a role. But I feel like he'll be used on the power play at least. Like I don't know. I just feel like they're not really. I hate to say it because I mean I love Niederreiter like a second son, or a second brother. I don't even have a brother. Why would I say that? But I just have a feeling that Greenway could work his way into a power play role, be it for Niederreiter or for Coyle. And what we know about Minnesota is that there's not really a first and second unit. It's just 1A, 1B. So if we get any sort of confirmation on that, I think that Greenway could be a really, really nice play. Let's see. I'm trying to pull up his college stats just to get a feel of what he did this year. But do you have anything to say about Greenway as a player? I know you were watching a bit of the hockey.
Well, I mean, you didn't make. Well, no, they did. Boston U.
Yeah.
That was like the one game I missed from the opening.
Okay.
Games, to be honest, I mean, what do I know about him? He's like, I feel like he's like more of like a. I mean, don't want to make it comparable ever, but yeah, kind of like an all-around player, not like a great like speed or hands or anything. It's kind of like he can get in he can grind in the corner. He's a big guy, like he's NHL ready, his body type. You know what I mean? Like that was the concern about Middlestead. Like this year, I don't know if he could have handled the NHL maybe as like a physicality, and that was what we need to work on. But you don't worry about that with Jordan Greenway.
Maybe like a Justin Advocator before he got bad at hockey.
Yeah, like a better hands, better forward type of guy, Justin Advocator. I can see him being net front presence on power play of some sort.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, yeah, like that's the big thing that you have to consider with him is he going to get power play time? Because I doubt he gets more than 10, 12 minutes, and I don't know. Like, keep an eye on it. Other than him though. I mean, Granlund down at 5.5 is also somewhat interesting to me. I don't like to stack up against Nashville ever, and I doubt I really end up having much Minnesota exposure here. But like Granlund's price is down low enough now where it's in consideration almost any night. Like I think he's a really solid player. So keep him in mind. It does look like they moved lines around a little bit, so check out Morning Skate. I'll try to make sure I retweet that one. But that's pretty much all I got here. I want to move on to
I mean, I think I have to mention Matt Dumba. He's 4,900, just continues to put up really solid numbers, like playing a ton of minutes. Spurgeon's not going to be back anytime soon. So I just think he's a fantasy guy that should always be in the conversation as long as he's priced, in this mid tier. Around some guys who I just think he's much better than from a fantasy perspective. So let's move to Boston at Winnipeg. I'll lead it off. I think Blake Wheeler is a much better play than Patrick Laine. At me, I don't care. With a full roster, Patrick Laine's not going to play the same role that he was with no Scheifele. When you're getting a guy like Wheeler who can reasonably project to play 21 minutes versus Laine's 16-ish on average, I think that's even a little bit high. I think you just have to take the minutes. I mean, Wheeler's going to be out there for the first power play. He's going to shoot the puck. It's not like Laine's this Ovechkin-esque shot kind of stealer. Like Wheeler's going to shoot himself, and I just want that guy more than the one who's out there to do one thing, which is shoot when there's an open lane, and otherwise it's pretty passive. So I don't know about you, but that's kind of my take here. I just think Blake Wheeler is a much better play than Patrick Laine, given the prices where they are. But what are your thoughts on that and the matchup with Boston?
Well, I mean, we have the narrative, of course, of Blake Wheeler getting traded from Boston. So, I mean, we just kind of ride our narratives. And that's the only way that's how I make all my picks. If there's no narrative, it's not worth playing. So,
I understood. Yeah, definitely.
It's Wheeler. I mean, come on, that's our bread and butter here. I mean, I know.
Only,
I guarantee
10 years ago.
It doesn't matter. The hurt and the pain is still there. Dude, Bobby in the group me tweeted that this was a FNUF revenge game, and it took me like 20 seconds to realize that was like obviously he started with Calgary, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Calgary traded into Toronto. Toronto traded like but you know what? I mean, we had to get our Bobby mention in here. You shout out, and we did it.
What up, Boomer?
We can move on. So yeah, like every narrative counts until the guy is dead.
LA's going to blow this game.
Wait, what?
LA's going to blow this game, I bet, against the just decrepit Flames team. That's my take on the night.
Yeah, dude. Well, Vanessa has a hat trick and like.
How can I forget?
It's in LA.
Yeah.
All right, never mind. I was gonna say something, but it doesn't matter because it's not in Calgary. Okay, so back to the game we're at right now.
Maybe if enough picks up a rebound goal, those sloppy seconds.
Oh my god, dude! Wow, the Sean Avery reference. That's bold. If you picked up on that one, man, that's a deep cut. Deep cut. Look that one up. Sean Avery, DM enough. All you got to do. Anyways, though, back to this game. Weirdly enough, on DraftKings, there's a question mark next to Patrice Bergeron's name, which I have no idea why. I also have never seen a question mark.
It's always day to day. So.
Yeah, like it's a Q, not a question mark. What am I saying? He's questionable with a Q. Yeah, everyone gets what I mean. I think he's gonna play. That's kind of why I just feel like this game might end up being like a defensive slugfest in a way. I'm not that interested. I don't really like playing too much against Boston. I'm not afraid of it really, but I don't know. I just feel like there could be this feels like when I'm gonna end up fading. Like the guys that I really want are too expensive for what I think this matchup could project to be. But yeah, I honestly do like Wheeler outside of the narrative. But I do feel like this one will be it's probably in my bottom 4 or 5 games as far as pace and like expected goals and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in love with like a game stack or anything, but I'm really interested in like these primary pieces. I think on the Boston side, I like that Bergeron's back. I don't really think their first line is a great play. Like I think I'm playing Wheeler over any of those guys, but we saw last game with no Rick Nash still. I'm not sure on his status, but he hasn't even skated yet, it appears. So he's definitely not playing, like this week or whatever. Ryan Donato is still on that first power play. And yeah, he's been priced up to 5,100 and has had a couple down games. But I'm still buying because of his long-term just shot propensity. I mean, just a reminder, he was literally the best shooter like we might have ever seen in the NCAA. Like Jack Eichel played in the NCAA and is like a legitimate NHL superstar when it comes to getting shots on net. And Donato blew his numbers out of the water. Like this is a guy who I think is a really strong fantasy asset. And as long as he's on this first power play with no Rick Nash, I think he's well in the conversation. He's even been priced down a bit from where he was earlier this week to 5.1. I think he goes really under owned, and I think he has massive upside here playing that that front spot with the shot rate that he does on the second line.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But anything else here?
Six shots per game, DJ. Six shots.
The thing is I totally believe you on the Donato train. I'm all aboard. So I'm just not gonna add anything. I mean, another note, I guess, because we might not get to it again, is that Trouba was like skating on a I think what I read was he's skating and they're projecting him to miss the rest of the season to get ready for the playoffs. Okay. So Trouba probably misses the rest of the year. Is like that's what we're looking at. So
yeah. Byfuglien playing some massive minutes too.
Massive minutes because of all of this.
So, yeah, that's nice. Let's go to Philly at Dallas. Dallas was a disaster, really, on Sunday. Going up against Vancouver, they got just embarrassed. Philly is a team that seems like they should be good for the playoffs, but there's still that little shred of doubt, I think. If they go on a sustained losing streak or anything, they could still be, jumped. So they have something to play for. They've been playing pretty well. Where do you stand on this matchup? I think this, of all the matchups on this slate, is one of my more confusing spots to pinpoint because they both have decent numbers lately. Even though Dallas had that terrible game, I'm just not really sure what to make of it.
Well, I mean, this is two teams that like to give their top guys big minutes. So you definitely get the concentrated minutes. We've mentioned it before a lot with Philly's power play. Power play one gets a ton of minutes. But if you look at Dallas's power play one, they literally get the whole two. I mean, they will not take those guys off the ice. So you're looking at high concentration in minutes in top end and price guys. So yeah, I totally could see a scenario of why you could game stack this. But I don't know if I'll do that. I kind of am leaning more towards the Philly side, although Dallas, this could be a big bounce back spot. And I do think Seguin is going to be arguably my top center. Is he the top? No, he's good. Well, I think I'd take him over either of the Pittsburgh guys personally. But
okay.
I think McDavid might be arguably the top with how hot he is, but and how well he's been playing. But no, I think Sagan's right there, and he's priced in that range. And I mean, honestly, I like all four of them, but I think Seguin could end up being the best of the night. And you could definitely catch me stacking him with Jamie Benn or Radulov.
Yeah, I think this would be great if it were a smaller slate. I think there's other options here that I'm more interested in that are kind of speculative plays as well. That I'm not going to be spending up. But if I had to pick one, I think it would be the Seguin Benn stack. Jamie Benn's been really good lately. I think I kind of had an anti-Jamie Benn bias because maybe last season or 2 years ago, his rate numbers were just terrible shot-wise. But they're really strong lately. And obviously Seguin is Seguin. So I think that's where my lean is. I mentioned Gostisbehere. I'd rather pay for Josi. And then I think the Philly forwards, they're just a little bit too point dependent for me in this matchup to jump on board at their relatively high prices. So with all of that covered, we can head to the last two games. Columbus at Edmonton arguably might be the most fantasy-friendly game on the entire slate. Mm-hmm. The initial news is that Nick Foligno is out for, I think, the rest of the season. I'm not sure if that means regular season and playoffs or just season, but it doesn't really matter. So Dubois will be centering Panarin and Atkinson unless something completely wild happens, I guess. I'm not sure what the power play will look like. Foligno was on that first unit last game. I would expect Dubois to get that as well, but we saw Werenski there 2 games ago, so it could just be one of those things. Still trying to figure out the power play after having the league's best power play a year ago. or I guess a year and a half ago, really, because they were world beating up until like February. But um, so yeah, the Columbus side certainly has interesting news. And then on the Edmonton side, we saw a wild game Sunday night that featured Ty Ratty doing what Ty Ratty does, scoring goals. Uh, Pontus Aberg playing 18 minutes and first power play time. Andre Sekera making the jump to first power play time. I don't get it. But and then Nurse and Bear split power play 2 work. So there's just a lot of value here, I think, and just a really friendly fantasy environment. So I guess the main question here I have for you, DJ, is that Connor McDavid, you mentioned he might be the top center here. How do you feel about Ty Ratty at 5,300, playing power play 2 with McDavid? It's kind of like that Patrick Maroon deal that we dealt with last year, where like he was just a guy skating with his stick on the ice next to McDavid without the top power play, but still producing. So where do you stand on that?
I mean, I'm not going to do it personally. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not physically able to do it. I am sorry. I'm
Okay,
not going to do it.
because I think Nugent Hopkins is a bit more palatable at
Yes.
6,100. He's fallen about 500 over the last few days. Um,
You know
you
what
know,
my real thought is on this. I'm not going to apologize
go
too
for
much
it.
here, but I really think when McDavid's feeling like he needs to shoot the puck, and he is just on that game where he's like, I'm shooting. His line mates do not quite get it, like get the bump they might need for their price. But sometimes it feels like McDavid's just like the biggest. Maybe it's like a Sunday thing, and he has to pass to everyone. He's like, oh nope, not for me. Like this is yours, and like they smash. So I don't know. I honestly like McDavid solo is fine. I don't understand. I don't understand what Evan has been doing kind of all year. It's like, okay, Draisaitl can carry his own line. Maybe not. Okay, but let's put him with McDavid. They smash.
Yep.
Nah. Let's put him back down in the second line. Doesn't work. I mean, yeah, I think they've learned that McDavid can play with literally me and you and still smash, and we'd probably be 5,100. So I don't know
Yeah.
what to do here. I mean, they're really like, I don't know. I honestly am just feeling like I want to try to get a lineup in with McDavid. And if I do that, then I think Nugent Hopkins is kind of the guy you want to go with.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna promise anything because their power play is definitely a work in progress. Like Sakara was a complete random entrant
Of
to
course,
that
yeah,
unit,
why not?
but Nugent Hopkins was actually on the first power play last game too, taking the spot of Ryan Strome. I think like long term that makes sense. Like Ryan Strome just never really cut it for Edmonton. Nugent Hopkins is clearly the better player, so I think that's an upgrade for them. But I certainly cannot guarantee that it'll happen again.
Mm,
But I
so
think that's a risk you can take because Nugent Hopkins is not really priced to where Draisaitl was when they were playing first line, first power play together and just smashing like regularly. And I
I
think
mean,
that they have that sort of potential.
another thing that just absolutely blows my mind is like, why is Andre Sekera on the first power play and not Darnell Nurse? I mean,
This is a
Andre
brand
Sekera,
new thing, so I have
Andre
no idea.
Sekera is 2,900. So you're thinking, wow, power play one, 2,900. This guy has, first off, 0 goals. Not too surprising, but he has 28 shots on goal in 32 games. Like,
Yeah,
he might shoot the puck twice. Like, maybe his max all year has been like 3 to 4 shots. Actually, he has a 1 5 shot on goal game in the mixer, so never mind. No, don't do it to yourself.
yeah,
He's 2,900, but he will be a 0. Like, I bet 2 out of every 5 games he puts a 0 up.
yeah. And then I mean, Ethan Bear had a goal and an assist. Had a power play goal from McDavid, which was I think second unit, but like McDavid was just out there because why not? Um, but like so, yeah. I think something like that is just like a little bit too points chasey because Bear went up to 3,800 after being like 33. Um, but yeah, it's just frustrating because we're not really getting that Clefbaum. Like Clefbaum was a lock there until he wasn't, and we were hoping that it would be Nurse. We were hoping that it would be Bear. If I were taking a flyer on one guy, it would be Darnell Nurse, just because I actually have faith that he can put up the peripherals without that power play one time. And I do like Nurse's price. I think he's like an obvious solution if you're looking for that mid tier at defense. But uh, I think we've covered both sides of this game pretty well. Did you have anything you
Well,
wanted to say about Columbus?
No, I'm just gonna mention that like we talked a lot, I feel like on Edmonton, but honestly, I like the Columbus side just as much, if not more. I have no problem going Panarin Atkinson, even though they're priced up. I mean, we mentioned Edmonton's defense, like it's not good at all. It's
Yeah,
very bad. That's the issue here, is that it's bad. Like I think Darnell Nurse is kind of transitioning into more of a top four guy, which they were hoping for. But other than that, I mean, Larson's fine. Russell's a joke. Sakara, I think he's on the tail end of his career, and then Bear and Bennett, it's like, they're not good. So don't be afraid to go with Columbus. I would say they're one of my favorite teams of the night. Maybe there's some value in guys like Bjorkstrand. It's kind of going to be a wait and see for me. Um, but that power play too, like Bjorkstrand, Werenski, Vanek, like it's super cheap, but you're not getting a lot of minutes. So I probably wouldn't suggest going too heavy. But Vanek did see 19 minutes last game, so
what a world.
at 4-6, like you could do worse. I'm not all in or all out on it. It was maybe just a one off. So
If you think Columbus wins this game, I would guess that Vanek plays 14 minutes tops.
yeah, that's true, I guess.
That's kind of my assumption there, but I could be wrong. I just don't
So
see. I don't see that repeating itself. I'm sticking to the first power play personally. I think there's enough value. I think Dubois will be there. So I feel like that is like a stack with Panarin Atkinson. But I did want to mention, kind of as my transition, if now you're done with the Columbus talk, right?
mhm.
Anaheim and Brandon Montour. Just Montour's fallen down to 4,400. He's still playing first power play, still playing first line. He's not been great, but I mean, you get exposure to the big guns like that, a ton of minutes. A talented player who's not afraid to get involved in the rush. I just don't see how that's not a great play here. We know Anaheim or Vancouver is just not good and can certainly give it up in a hurry. Um, Anaheim is, I guess they're not really streaking, but they're kind of riding a really strong performance from John Gibson into the playoffs. Um, I guess that's not a certainty, but I think they will be a playoff team when it's all said and done. So, what are your thoughts there on the Anaheim side and some of their studs?
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't know. I want to say to spend up for that top line. Like I do really, really, really like it, but it really could be a game where you try to get away from it to go with some of the other guys, but they definitely give that top power play all the minutes. So if you want to get a savings, you could go Montour or Henrique. I know Henrique had 2 goals in the last game. He's not, I mean, he's 4-9, which is definitely a fair price. Like that's probably right where he should be, I'd say.
I agree. Yep.
So 4-9, like it's fine. And then, yeah, Montour, I do think is in a really good spot because he definitely can be a shot producer. Like he definitely does do it, and he does get first power play. So that's all you really need there. But paying up for Raquel at 7K is a lot. It's a really big price tag for him. I just can't imagine I like that play more than some of the others in the same kind of hemisphere, like Vander Kane.
I agree.
So then you have Corey Perry. That's the other guy worth considering. Under 6K, 5'9". Like that might be where I end up. Or why is Silverberg not on either power play? Just someone riddle me that.
They don't need him. They're too good.
I don't get it.
They're too good at scoring goals.
The last game, it looks like they must have had like a 4-man power play for a minute because like there's only 4 guys. And then Manson is just listed, but he wasn't even there.
Well, Getzlaff was probably like the full 2 minutes kind of deal.
Could have been it too. All right. So basically, I guess this leads me to, boy, I don't know. I want exposure to Anaheim so bad. So it's like the Henrique Montour stack's cheap enough. Kessler is still 4-1, but he just seems like a guy that had played way too much and has produced nothing. So, I mean, way too much is I played him like probably 3 times and I still like hate him because he burned me all 3. What do you think here? Do you think there's any merit to considering going away from the first line? I feel like I was rambling about the same play. Maybe you should come.
I think Henrique is a really strong play. That's first power play, so that's probably cheating. I mean, I'm just not someone who goes off the beaten path too much when it comes to my lineups. I play one lineup a night, so it's definitely easier for me to do something like that. But I don't really see this Kessler Silverberg being worth like this flyer. If you want to talk narratives, I guess Ryan Kessler returning to Vancouver for probably the 12th time in his career since he left Vancouver, but something that I guess could mean something. I think that price is a little bit ridiculous. Like 4.1 is, it's fine. If you want to play him, it's just like a one-off. I wouldn't stack him though. And I do like Henrique. I love Montour. Um, One guy in the Vancouver side that I think you just have to pay attention to is Sam Gagne. His shot rate over the last like 20 games is legitimately up there with the best in the NHL. It's up at like 19 Corsi per 60. His role has grown significantly as of late onto that first power play and first line along with the Sedins, who kind of seem to be in like the twilight of their career. They're getting much more minutes than they were in the past, at least. So I like Sam Gagne just as a really nice cap relief. I think this game should have some nice pace. And if Gagne gets to a goal, I mean, you're thrilled. So I like Gagne at 3.4 a lot if you're just looking to play a cheap winger and get up to some of these other studs.
All right, that's fine. Also, while we're on narratives, dude, we totally missed a big one in the last game.
Oh, did we?
We missed Mark Letestu, dude.
Oh, man. How could we?
I just I noticed it, and I just didn't want to be embarrassed when the podcast comes out that we didn't say Mark Letestu returning to Edmonton.
No, it's valid.
Mark Letestu, former power play 1 Edmonton Oiler. I mean, the ultimate goal stealer. This could be the night he gets his hat trick and breaks the slate. It feels that way to me. Okay, so why don't we get into our favorite stacks, guaranteed goals, and if it doesn't include Mark Letestu, then
just restart.
Restart. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jenner, Letestu, Vanek. I'm very much joking. Go.
Let's no. I'm kidding too. Did you have any in mind, or I don't think I have any that you can steal. So if you're ready, then go for it.
All right, I will go with the Dallas one, Seguin Benn. Actually, I might end up really falling in love with Radulov too.
Ooh,
Also
okay. You were just saying that you were a bigger fan of Philly here, so I like the conviction.
I'm a fan of both. I'm a big fan of Giroux. Like, I might just see myself with a Giroux Gostisbehere stack somewhere in there, but like I just love Giroux and what he's doing right now, and I've been on him very, very much late this year and have not been disappointed. Yes.
Okay. I dig it. I can't really.
The thing is that Drew gets so many assists. It's like you might want to consider.
Wait, which stack are you taking, DJ?
Oh, Dallas one. Sorry.
Okay. You just kept talking there. I was
like, wait. Like the game stack. I really like that game stack. Okay, sue me. Put. Okay.
All right. I will go with McDavid, Tyratty, and Nugent Hopkins. I'm not going to be. I think that being overexposed to McDavid at this point is just a good idea. They're expensive, but they're certainly you can fit them, especially if you're not playing Burns. I just think your lineup can be pretty solid with those 3 guys, and you have a ton of upside there. So that's where I like for my high priced.
You say it one more time because I missed it.
McDavid, Ratty, Nugent Hopkins.
Okay. I thought I heard Nugent Hopkins at the tail end. You only got out for a second there. Okay.
You can go Aberg too to save some money for power play 1. Exposure to McDavid as well.
It's feeling a little frisky.
Aberg's been good. Aberg's been pretty strong lately. Yeah. He has like a 15 Corsi per 60 over the past 20 games.
He's fine. Wow, cheap now. I feel like I spent the whole podcast saying I didn't like any of these cheap guys. Do you have anything in mind?
You could go that Anaheim stack, the power play 1.
Just a Montour, Henrique, and then like
something like that.
In there. I'm fine with that. Do you want that, or is it mine?
I don't think I was gonna go there now.
All right. I feel like I had one, and I've completely lost it now. Do you have one?
I was taking a look at what Detroit did tonight, because we never even talks about that on the other side of the Pittsburgh game.
Yeah, Larkin, Mantha.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking. But
yeah, I mean, I played that tonight. I think it did not probably go well.
It did not.
Okay. Honestly, I think I took out Larkin last minute and put in someone else. Or whatever, it doesn't matter. Last night's last night. Oh man, it's like a cheap. I don't know if I have any like really cheap stack, and it's like I feel like I have a lot of like one-off cheap guys that I'm like interested in. Like I think like Donato in general could just be like a really good play, like mid tier. But like, who do you stack with him? Like I'm not
You've
playing Krejci. I feel like.
well, that's my guaranteed goal. So
Oh well, you
hate
can
to
have it
hate
still.
to do that to you, but yeah, I'm taking ownership of that one. I'll go with the well. I mean, you can definitely fit these two stacks together. I'm going to go with Hoffman, Carlson, and then you can go Duchesne. I think you can go Peugeot. Just want to make sure he's still playing that first power play. Um, yeah, Peugeot's still there. I think Hoffman, Peugeot, Carlson power play one stack. As of tonight's or Monday night's game, Peugeot and Hoffman were playing together at 5-on-5. So I like to see that. I think Peugeot's at that decent enough price, and Carlson being back, I think makes all the difference to this Ottawa team. So I like them here against the Islanders at home.
Okay, I guess I'm just gonna stick with the Henrique Montour.
Real
I just don't.
creative,
What?
real creative.
Well, yeah.
Um, man, I want to say Nick Ritchie over Kasha. Ritchie's been shooting the puck a
Um,
lot, but those minutes kind of suck for both of them. So I don't really see myself playing either.
no,
But
me
if
either.
you're looking, I think that you could get away with Ritchie there over Kasha, who's just kind of been basically playing the same role as Ritchie. Like, doesn't seem like there's a ton of power play time there. Um, so I think that's a way to go super cheap.
This really could end up being almost. I mean, I was in a must win for Anaheim, but like this is a very large game for them getting into the playoffs still, especially if Colorado ends up beating Vegas tonight, well yesterday, and then St. Louis wins tonight. Then like this is a huge game, so I really just like considering that and how bad Vancouver is. So
Yeah.
I think you could really go any way you want here. You could even go like no. No, I like what you said about Richie. Just keep it with that. Okay, guaranteed goals.
All right. Well, I had Donato. I just think he's in a really nice role, and I'm gonna buy on him. You know, we can probably wait to see more from him, but he's also got that pedigree, so he could be priced up almost immediately when he starts to smash. So um, I think that his price makes sense here, and I'll go with him. Do you have one of your guys in mind yet?
All right, sure. Cammy Atkinson. I was really feeling it. Like I really want to get him in on my lineups, but you really might have to spend up on wing to do it. So I don't know if I like him quite as much as I like a guy like Evander Kane for just 500 more. So it's really getting down to the wire. But I think Atkinson right now, I'm going to put in as my guaranteed goal.
Okay. I dig it. I can't quite fit in a guy like Hornfist, who I think is a really, really strong wing play. I'm not going to go for Vander Kane again. I think I took him on Monday's show, but regardless, man, kind of wore ourselves thin here. I think at the wing position,
I
talking
mean,
about guys.
I really want Donato too with Atkinson. That's not good.
um, you can you can have Donato if you want. I'll
Okay.
yeah. I can sacrifice Donato to save a bit of money to go with Hornfist. Um,
All right, I'll go Atkinson Donato then. I mean, I love the play. I really think that I'm going to end up with like a couple two stacks in some capacity, and then like one big one like the Dallas. You know what I mean? And like Donato can really help. I mean, it's not a huge savings, but yeah, I like my thought process right now.
yeah. All right. So I will go with Patrick Hornfist, and ooh, do I get jiggy with it? Go Elias Lindholm. I don't know. He's just my hero. Like I like him. Um, Adam Henrique is right there in terms of price too. I can't quite get to him. So
Just do
um,
it. Take Henry, it's fine. You probably got enough.
yeah, I think honestly, yeah, if I had 4.9, I would definitely go with Henrique over any of these wing options at 4.9. So I think that's a little bit of insight that's useful. Anything else that you have before we close the show, DJ?
Not really. Follow us Twitter. Follow us on the podcast. Like subscribe if you don't, because
Yeah, you guys should definitely tune into the group me on Tuesday because Doug and I will be playing in
Oh
the
yeah.
matchup of all matchups to decide the winner of Morningscape Madness. We certainly did not plan for it to end up like this. If you missed the, I guess, story of it, tune into yesterday's show because we talked about it a little bit. Thursday was a crazy night for like the Final Four. So sorry, DJ, that you have to sit on the sidelines and watch this one. But I'm looking
Uh,
forward to a hard-fought battle with Mr. Doug Leby and the Sim here on Tuesday night's action. So should be
um,
a fun one.
yeah. I guess other than that, just Casey Middlestead, you're my only hope in life of happiness. So if you're listening, please turn it around for Buffalo.
And
I,
if you know Casey, please ask him to listen. We would
just
appreciate it.
I mean, like honestly, at this point, I was like talking to my friends, and I was like this is like like I have a chance here, and I don't want to jinx it at the imperfect season. So the Cleveland Browns finished dead last, and the Sabres, I don't want to jinx it, could finish dead last. So I think if anyone deserves a turnaround, it's me and my sports teams.
It's us, DJ. Yes,
It's
it is
us.
us.
It's always us.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're listening, Casey Middlestad, we believe in you.
But not Phil Housley. Did you see my tweet from earlier, DJ?
Oh yeah, your
My
what,
lyrics,
mock
my John.
Imagine by
My,
John Lennon.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
pretty proud of that.
The
To be
thing
honest,
is that like we could go and have an entire other podcast about how bad the Sabres are. Like I know there's other Sabres podcasts out there, and I'm sure they do a great job. But I think we just
I
need to
want to go
make
on
one
them.
that's just like Sabre Sadness podcast, and just like, can you believe that Jordan Nolan is going to play with Reinhardt tonight? Like, and they won. Of course, they won.
That did happen.
They end up winning the game because why wouldn't they win the game? They're going to win the game because they are stupid.
You know what happened halfway through the game too?
They switched it back.
Ryan O'Reilly centered Reinhardt and Jordan Nolan. First
Oh,
line, Jordan Nolan. People,
I'm setting off.
I hate this. I hate this team. I
All
hate
right.
this.
Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Morningscape Pod and check out the website, morningscapepod.com. DJ, I'm right there with you. All right. From Doug, from DJ, from myself, and most definitely not from Phil Housley. Have a good slate, everybody, and we will see ya.